Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday, the 24th of March. This is your daily Dev. I am your daily Rev. This week, we've been looking at this idea of outrage and how do we respond to the things going on around us that make us feel mad, the social injustice issues, the equality issues, and all manner of other issues that are plaguing our society and our world. And on day one, you can catch up in the IGTV link on our bio. But day one, we spoke a little bit about how do we respond initially? What should our first response be when we hear of something or see something or experience something that really triggers us, that really makes us feel as though this is an issue that we want to speak to? And we looked at a situation in the life of Jesus where and we took notes from the way in which he responded when his cousin was brutally beheaded by the authorities, by the powers that be, simply because they were powerful. We looked at how Jesus responded, and his first step was to take himself away into a place of solitude and silence. And we noted that could be an initial important first step to take when there's another news headline or another story or another case of great injustice that affects us or our community or people we love deeply, right? And so we thought about maybe that's one of the first initial steps that we should take when we feel outraged, is to take ourselves away, to process our emotions, our feelings, and to work out how do we feel about a situation rather than instantaneously responding to all the noise around us. Get away from the noise and work out how we should respond. Secondly, what we noted yesterday was after this initial time of solitude, Jesus' next step in dealing with the outrage that he was feeling towards the murder of his cousin, was actually to get back on mission. And so yesterday was about assessing. So if day one was about solitude, day two was about assessing, right? Understanding what is where we are and what we are up to in the world, and realizing and reflecting on the fact that actually, rather than tilting at every windmill, rather than being pushed and pulled and prodded by every new news headline and dealing in a reactionary way, it was to assess our lives up to this point and acknowledge the fact that, all right, what am I up to in the bigger picture? Like, what is my life's purpose? What's my life's work? What am I up to? And actually, is that bigger picture more important than being sidelined than this specific issue? In fact, does that bigger purpose that I'm on actually speak to the type of world that I want to create, rather than simply being tunnel vision and moved solely on the pulse of social media, or moved solely by the headlines of the newspaper that day? And so day three, I want to look at this idea. So we've taken ourselves off and we've reflected on how this outrage that we feel. And then step two, we've assessed our life's work and our life's mission, and hopefully we've seen that the journey that we're on and the vision that the vision that we have of the world and the way in which we're trying to bring that vision into reality is actually more important and of more significance than simply getting derailed by one or two specific moments that might incur and cause emotion to erupt within us at that specific time. But then today, I would say the third step, we've reflected, we've assessed. I think the third step, if we decide that actually there is a cause that's worthwhile, that is worth redirecting all our energies and all our time to, if we feel as though maybe the bigger picture that we've been painting is a picture that doesn't line up to how you see the world now that you've experienced these moments or seen these things or feel outraged, and now you want to reorientate, you want to readjust, redirect your life to tackle this injustice, to tackle this problem, to tackle this mission, I think the next step is to plan, right? One of the worst things we can do is as I've said earlier, is be reactionary. Is to simply be caught up in the moment and pulled into action simply based on what the headline is that day. All that turns us into is headline readers and reactionary people, not true activists, not true people who are about social change, or not people who are truly about creating a new way, a new reality for the world. Literally, we will just be pulled from pillar to post. And so the third step is to plan. And I don't know if you remember, but right at the beginning of the pilgrimage, back February the 17th, I believe it was, we spoke about this idea of, as we embark on this pilgrimage, really considering the cost of following Jesus and the cost of discipleship, and how one of the smart things we can do is to assess what it means to be a follower of Christ before we decide to embark on that journey. But actually, that step of counting the cost is actually important for any major decision that we want to make in our life. And so if we decide that the outrage we feel over these issues, if you decide that this is an issue that you want to commit to, this is an issue that you want to spend the foreseeable future battling and confronting, and then I believe the next step is to plan. How are you going to go about this mission? How are you going to go about tackling this issue? And I just want to suggest three ways that you can plan this. I think the first step is to research, right? What organizations, institutions, individuals, small charities, businesses, what people are already doing the work in that area? What are they up to, and how effective have they been? Now, this is a really, really key step, because there's a few things this allows you to do. One, it allows you to avoid any missteps that have been already taken by some of these larger organizations or these individuals who have been about this journey for a long time. Two, you may be able to actually partner with them, and rather than, which can save you money, it can save you time, it can save you unnecessary wasted resources. Because when you partner with an organization or partner with people that are already about a mission, the beauty is that you can leverage off their platform, you can leverage off the resources they have. Because you are aligned on mission and vision and purpose, you can actually utilize one another, form partnerships and joint ventures, and work together to bring about this cause that you are about. Yes, also save energy too. So the first step is to research who has already been about this, right? And how can you work with them? How can you partner with them? How can you utilize their resources? How can you leverage off them? Two, so that's the first step. One, to research. Two, and I said it earlier, calculating the cost. Like, what is this going to mean for your family, for your career, for your social interactions, your relationships as a whole? Because more than likely, if this passion, if this outrage is so huge within you that this is pushing you to action, this is going to have implications onto everyone around you. This is going to have implications onto the people you love, and this is going to have implications onto where you work, right? Because it's going to impact every single element of your life. And so calculating that cost and then speaking to those individuals and bringing them into what it is you're doing, making them aware of why this is important to you, what this might mean for your time, what this might mean for your work, how this might affect if you're going to use social media, you might be more visible. Like, how does your work feel about you becoming a spokesperson for this issue? Like, these are some conversations you may need to have to fully assess what is the cost going to be for embarking on this new mission, for dealing with this new outrage that you're going to face. And then the third step seems obvious coming from a pastor, but you need to pray about this. You need to commit this action to prayer. You need to commit this action to God. Again, throughout the scriptures, we see time and time again that before Jesus embarked on anything new, before he turned left, before he turned right, when he wasn't sure what to do, when there was some clouding, or there was a new confrontation, a new obstacle that he needed to confront, right? He always took time to pray. And so that is really the third step. You've researched, you've calculated the cost, you've spoken to everyone you need to speak to. Then you need to commit this plan of action that you are now putting together. You need to commit this to prayer and ask God, look, I want your wisdom in this situation. I want your direction in this. There's a lot of work being done here. There's a lot of work that has been done in this area. I want to add to this. And Lord, I want to commit this to you in prayer. And I think encompassing all of this, there's this saying that I love, and I don't know it word for word, so I'm paraphrasing, but the idea is the wise man plants a tree knowing that he will never enjoy the shade that it provides, right? Something along those lines. A wise man plants a tree knowing that he will never enjoy the shade of its leaves. And this is this idea that whatever we're taking on, especially if it's a large project or if it's a large vision, if it's a bigger picture of how we want to see the world, we've got to be all right with the fact, knowing that we may spend our entire lives on this mission. We might spend all our resources, all our money, all our energy, everything we have on this mission, but knowing that we may not see the full fruit of our labor. And knowing this from the beginning and still being okay with this is going to allow us to navigate every setback. It's going to allow us to hurdle every obstacle. It's going to allow us to, though we might be slowed in our progress, to never be halted. So guys, I really want to just encourage you today to think about the outrage that you're feeling. It's so often a clue to what we should be up to in the world. So don't ignore the outrage, but I want you to be strategic with that outrage. I want you to strategize around that outrage. And most importantly, I want you to commit your plan of action to prayer. I'll see you tomorrow, 8 a.m. I'm your Daily Rev, and that was your Daily Dev.